Part. So welcome. The songs that I'm playing in this little set are mainly taken from this new CD thing that I put out called Lifehouse Chronicles, which you can only buy from my website at the moment. And although there is a single coming out through the good grace of a company called Best Buy, and a couple of people recently have said to me too that they're kind of pissed off or getting pissed off with the fact that, you know, everything that I do seems to need a lot of explanation, everything that I do seems to need stories to drive it or whatever. But, you know, I think behind every writer, behind every songwriter, there's a story, which is, of course, the writer, his life and his experience. And what I tried to do when I started to work with stories, like with Tommy, with Lifehouse, with Quadrophenia, White City, Psychedelics, stuff like this, and what I had been doing even when I started was I was trying to get out of myself, you know, that thing that we did a lot of in the 60s and which a lot of people still do today, you know. It's called getting out of your head, you know. And as a writer, what I wanted to do was just get out of myself. I didn't think that I had anything to say that was really of interest. I looked around me and I looked at the people that I grew up with and I felt that they were the subject of my work, they were the aim of my work, and they were the ones that were interesting. You know, now that I've had a rich and varied life, I think it's probably time to really start to write about me. And it's probably a bit late now. This story, for me, this song, Wrapped Up, is the kernel behind the Who's Next album, that album which, you know, on its own stands alone as probably the Who's finest, straightforward, unconceptual rock album based on a concept. And this and this song never made it onto that record. And so, in a sense, the heart of it, the kernel, the idea was missing. So listen to this and get the picture. with mountains blowing and blowing, each man in his wake, destroying itself in the end with vibration. There's nothing on earth its challenge can take, except in one note. Except in one note, pure and easy, playing so free like a breath you blew in the except in one note, pure and easy. Except in one note, pure and easy. Except in one note, pure and easy. Except in one note. Except in one night, pure and easy. Pure and easy, yeah. Pure and easy. Except in one night, pure and The next song is interesting. I mean, I've talked about this a bit. It's called Behind Blue Eyes. It's a very famous Who song, and it's one that... Thank you. And it's one of those songs that, you know, there's no question that it came out, and there was stuff in it that was about me and where I was at the time. But it's amazing how a song like this, you know, can take a life of its own. It becomes like a big radio song and moves away from you and becomes something else and lives in another space. And the thing that has been interesting for me about this is how it's actually come to be very much about Europe and what's going on in Europe. And you know, not everybody in Europe has blue eyes. I know that. I'm not trying to make that point. But the predominant idea of the Northern European is this blue-eyed, fair-haired character. And recently I realised that Behind Blue Eyes is a song about the sadness and the badness, if you like, the war that has been going on on our continent for a long, long time and continues to go on. You know, when you settle one, another one starts. And in the past, you know, couple of years, we've seen, you know, conflicts in Serbia, Bosnia, and particularly in Yugoslavia, obviously. It's broken down into its component parts now, and it's a great tragedy, very difficult for us to deal with all this again. And you know, the Balkans don't feel like Northern Europe, but this is our territory. And Behind Blue Eyes has become a song actually now, which is about, you know, about us, you know, us as a people, and not just about three guys in a group, one of whom had brown eyes and ginger hair, and played noisy drums, and then dropped dead for the stress of it all. And three with blue eyes. It's not about that. It's about something else. And I don't quite know when this transition happened, but I realised when it had happened, when The Who were doing this tour in 96, 97, we were touring Europe, and we were playing in Germany, and we were doing Quadrophenia. And at the end of the show, so that people knew that we could still be who we used to be, Roger and I played acoustic versions of Won't Get Fooled Again and Behind Blue Eyes. And one night we were doing it, I think it wasn't in Germany, it was in Vienna perhaps, and we were in Vienna, and Vienna's, you know, as you may have heard, has got a very, very right-wing new president there. But, you know, I thought Vienna was a cool place, you know, and they really had a sense of music theatre there, I thought, you know, having been the home of Strauss and everything else. But anyway, the show was finished, it went down very, very well, and we started to play Behind Blue Eyes, and Behind Blue Eyes, suddenly I thought, God, this song is about, you know, it's about Germany, it's about fascism, it's about, you know, it's about all kinds of things that it shouldn't really be about. You know, this is the closest to a love song that I've ever written and managed to get The Who to perform, and suddenly I realised that it's actually a social document of great significance. And you today are probably the first to hear about that. No one knows what it's like to be the bad man, to be the sad man behind blue eyes. No one knows what it's like to be hated, to be faded, to telling only lies. But my dreams, they run as empty as my conscience seems to be. I have hours when I'm only lonely. My love is vengeance that's never free. No one knows what it's like to feel these feelings like I do. And I blame you. No one bites back its heart on their anger. None of my pain and woe can show through. But my dreams, they are as empty as my conscience seems to be. I have hours when I'm only lonely. My love is vengeance that's never free. When my fist clenches, crack it open before I use it and lose my cool. If I smile, tell me some bad news before I laugh and I act like a fool. And if I swallow anything evil, put your finger down my throat. And if I shiver, please give me a blanket. Keep me warm and let me where you go. No one knows what it's like to be the bad man, to be the sad man behind blue eyes. Thank you. Thank you. What actually happened on Who Are You? I will. I certainly will do that. As soon as I take on that persona. was a project started by The Who after Tommy. Tommy was a huge success, and we thought that with that behind us we could do anything. And I decided to make this big movie in which The Who would appear as a real rock band with a real audience, and there would be a fiction, a story, a science fiction story woven around the real concert. And I got the money from Universal Pictures, and we started to do the project, and it got a bit complicated, and I went a bit mad, and it never got finished. But the story, I've kind of hinted at it a bit, but maybe if I wrap it up now quickly, the story of Lifehouse is simply about a time when technology delivers its promise. You know, and what the promise of technology has always been is that entertainment will replace religion. And so I chose two subjects that I was very fond of at the time. One was an Indian teacher called Meher Baba, and I'd started to follow him and study his writings and other writings that he recommended, particularly Sufi writings about music, about 3 or 4 years before I started on Lifehouse. And the other person was an electronic musician who's luckily still going strong, called Terry Riley. And I concocted this organ sound through a synthesizer, which you hear bubbling away in the back of Barbara O'Reilly. So the two names together were Baba for Meher Baba and O'Reilly for Terry Riley. And it was kind of O'Reilly because it sounded a bit Irish at the end. Gabby Lester. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, Pete. I'd just like to say that I think your music has changed the world. I know it sounds wanky to say like that, but it's enriched people's lives. It is an energy you give out. For me, it's people like you, Stevie Marriott, Phil Lynott and John Lennon, and out of those four, you're the only one that's still alive, that have given out that energy that's so important to the world and enriches the world, basically. And so, although it sounds wanky, I just want to say thank you.
What's your question?
The question is...
Sorry,
The question is, how do you feel about the railway burning down in Wealdstone, which is one of the first gigs, not the first gigs, an important gig for you, and it burnt down a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I read about that. You know, buildings normally outlast us, and it is weird when they go down like that. And probably it's something to do with the brewery wanting to turn it into a car park or something. Oh, whoops, it's burnt down. How did I feel about it? You know, it's sad. It's where I broke my first guitar. And it was a bit of a little dive. It was very, very low ceiling, which is why I broke the guitar. And I was on the stage and going banging away, and it clipped and it went through the roof. And when I pulled it out, it was a Rickenbacker, and they're quite thin there, and quite, not that they're badly made, but they're quite thin there, and the neck came off, the head came off. And a lot of people from my class at art college kind of sitting there kind of going... So I went, yeah, and then... and smashed it to pieces and finished it off. Looked at them and went... And after everything had gone, I went, oh my God. But, you know, the thing about that time was, and the presence of the art students that was really important was, is that, you know, I was really, really a definitive art student. I did this course, a crazy course, and I got it all. You know, I was really kind of into the whole idea of you know, writing a manifesto for a pop band. You know, which the only band I think that wrote a manifesto that I know about was the Sex Pistols. You know, or a few bands around the time of punk. But the Who had a manifesto. It's just that we lost it. We lost it. It was something about chopping away at our own legs. That was in it. And there was something about only... What was it about? Only being successful for 6 weeks or something like that, you know. And of course, what actually happened is once we were on the telly and we saw ourselves on the monitors, it was like, maybe 6 months? And this one, contentious song this was. This is Won't Get Fooled Again. I've done it in various different ways, and you know, it was the song on the Who album became identified with this idea of, you know, we shout very loudly that we will not get taken in by politicians. And I suppose in a way it's a bit about that, but it's also really about what I was saying earlier on about that thing about self-deception. You know, not allowing yourself to be taken in really by your own kind of vapid thought processes, you know, where you forget yourself. And it doesn't have to be about rock music. It could be at a, you know, football game. It could be at a great party. It could be when you're making love to somebody. Whatever it is, you get out of yourself. You know, you forget who you are. You forget what hangs you up. And what the song was about is the body of people that are always trying to get you to not do that. You know, to not ever lose yourself. You know, stay where you are, be who you are, know yourself. You know, live with your go to psychotherapy. You know, stay in that place. And you know, some of us do need psychotherapy. I can tell you. But you know, it's not necessary to survive, and so the song was. But you know, the interesting thing about whenever the Who took one of my songs is it wasn't that the subtlety was lost or anything. I mean, sometimes that happened, but that the sheer combined edge of all the different characters in the band came into play, and the song took on a new form and became, you know, it meant something different and bigger. And whenever I sing it, it feels like the song that I wrote. And anyway, I won't go on anymore. I'll just play the song. Play it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. You know, this is me getting to the end thinking, right, okay, we should go. Da-dun, like in Quadrophenia, you know, da-dun, what happens? Dunno. What happens at the end of Tommy? I'll leave it to you. You decide. You know. I'm not very good at finishing stories. This is an interesting guitar. It's made from two guitars. It's made from a guitar where the body was destroyed in a terrible accident, and the body is from a guitar where the neck was destroyed in an awful mishap. And you know that bloke in the cowboy act? I can't remember what his name was. He did that thing on his video where he smashes two guitars together. It's called Clark Kent or something. Sold 48,000 million records. I can't remember. Garth Brooks, yeah. And it's really interesting because, you know, Garth Brooks is one of those people, you know, who just doesn't look right in a hat. It's good, isn't it? But, you know, he's done very well. You know, I might just get myself one of them hats. Anyway, that thing we smashed, that's what I did. What's actually happening is I was in my studio. It's a tiny, tiny room. And I was trying to do a demo and I got really upset. And, you know, I was going, and I got these two guitars and went like that. And to my amazement, they both smashed. And anyway, I put them together and this is the result. And it's a fantastic guitar. You know, it's much, much better than the other two were, you see. So, the moral of the story is that if you've got two crap guitars, you know what to do. Bring them to me. Good enough for jazz. Each time we come here, I say we'll never come here again. Each time we make love, I say we'll never make love again. But my little Greyhound girl, you got me running down the track, my little Greyhound girl. I'm in your trap. Each time we ride out, I say we'll never ride out again. And when we kiss, I say we'll never, never kiss again. But my little Greyhound girl, you got me running down the track, my little Greyhound girl. I'm in your trap. I'm looking for reasons, I'm looking for reasons, but there ain't a why or a wherefore to label my little Greyhound girl. You I'm in your trap. Thank you.